Welcome, everyone, to my channel. If you've been here before, you know the drill, and if you haven't, pull up a seat, sit down. We are going to talk about Lawrence Watt Evans' second book in the annals of the Chosen, the Ninth Talisman. Okay. So, here we go. The entire world is kept in a delicate balance under the supervision of the Wizard Lord. It is his duty to govern lightly and protect his domain. But if he strays from the way of the just, then it is up to the Chosen to intercede. The Chosen are the leader, the seer, the swordsman, the beauty, the thief, the scholar, the archer, and the speaker. Magically infused mortal individuals who, for the term of their service, have only one function: to be available to remove an errant Wizard Lord, whether by persuasion or execution. But what if the new Wizard Lord is intent on ruling without magic? And what if that intention includes the removal of the Chosen? Dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, had to be a little dramatic there, okay? Those little question mark things on the end. You gotta make it dramatic. It's gotta be dramatic. Yeah. We're being dramatic. Alrighty. So, we are introduced once again to the swordsman, Aaron. Zal, Tulia, Kam, Darig, Zivith, Tiren, Seer, Abek, Du, Breaker, or Sword, as he's generally known as, because he's a swordsman, and at home in Mad Oak, where he lives. So, the younger priestess wanted to talk to him. Now, Mad Oak don't go by their true names, ever. They're told their true names, but they don't ever refer to themselves or to anybody else in their home in Mad Oak by their true names. So, you have, Sword. His name is Sword now instead of Breaker. He was Breaker before he became Sword. You have younger priestess, priest, elder priestess, his sister named Harp. And you have Fidget and Spider, which are also his sisters. So, the younger priestess says, your soul seems clouded because you seem unhappy. And he's like, well, I'm well enough. And so she's like, well, I want to clear this because, you're clouded and I want to make it go away. Because, of course, their whole thing is to commune with Lear in the village and to keep the souls of the human Lears safe and sound, protected. And so he's like, I believe that the role should no longer exist. He believes that the Wizard Lord should no longer exist. He believes that swordsman, the beauty, and all of the Chosen should no longer exist because there's only 12 wizards left. They're a dying breed. And so he believes that, they should not worry about it because 12 wizards, that's not that bad. You can handle that. So why would they need a Wizard Lord? So why would they need the Chosen? Because a Wizard Lord can go evil. Not every Wizard Lord has gone evil, but they can. And he just defeated one 7 years ago. So obviously Wizard Lords can go evil. And she's like, but we need them. And he's like, but do we? And so she goes, I'm going to show you why we need them. Something that happened 800 years ago. A memory that a priestess at that time had given to the Hearthstone, so that way her descendants of priestesses could see the memory and understand why Wizard Lords were needed, because of rogue wizard. Though it does cement for Sword that perhaps it's not needed. Because Tala, the priestess, she had come back from communing with the forest to allow for hunting and scavenging of food. When she came, all of the men were gone, which was strange, to defend the village, which was also strange, because how would they know to defend the village? The wind obviously said that there was danger, and she questioned that, which, kudos for her for questioning it, because she was smarter than a lot of them. And so what she did was that she asked, the spirits to defend them. And then she sat there and revealed, because there was a stranger among them, revealed the wizard, right? The wizard had come because he wanted to take a woman Well, I have my pick of their women. I see a few who would be suited for me. So he wants a woman, a whore, basically, to warm his bed and scrub his floors, right? And so, thinking fast, as Tal did, she's like, I want to go. Let me go. I'm a slave. I'm already a slave to the leader here. Just take me. And then she's like, because of disease. Let priests fend off the disease. And the wizard's like, what? Disease? And she's like, I don't know about that. I'm afraid of the disease, but these people are not. And if they leave, that the disease will get them. And he's like, yeah, no. You stay here, bye. And he goes to leave. And she begs forgiveness for the lies she told in their service, and to guide her to strike down their foe, the wizard. So she's guided, arrow is guided, and she kills the wizard. Which, obviously, if a priestess can fucking do that, then why would you need a wizard lord? And there's only 12 left. They don't police themselves, which is stupid. They should totally police themselves, but they don't. Okay, so he comes back, and he's still like, I don't fucking know what I should do. We need a wizard lord, is what the younger priestess says. And he's like, the sound seems to have dealt quite effectively with that one by herself. But she wasn't, what if she wasn't quick with her lies? He's like, but she was. But what if she weren't? He's like, maybe. And so he goes home. He's just like questioning it. And then, not even like a couple of days later or whatever, they don't tell you the passage of time for this, the leader outside of the village starts going crazy. Why? Because there are men on the road creating a road. So these is crew, the wizard's crew, road crew, is going around creating roads between villages so that way people can safely walk from village to village instead of needing a guide. And since they didn't have a guide from Willowbank to Mad Oak, it solved their problem of being able to traverse back and forth so that they could trade, and everything. But people are worried that, well, what if people won't need my weaving? What if people won't need my beer? Because they can get it from somewhere else. It's like, you can trade with them. And like, well, what if Willowbank has their own beer? Okay, trade beers. And Sword decides that he's going to go travel on the road to Willowbank after the Lear are satisfied and see what was going on. And if he decided in his trip after to Willowbank, if he needed to proceed to go speak to the Wizard Lord about this. And some people were like, oh, you think the Wizard Lord's gone evil? He's like, no. I just want to know more about his plans, his projects for the world, what he's doing, why he's doing it. Of course, we already know the Wizard Lord's plans on getting rid of magic. Getting rid of magic altogether, I'm guessing, which would, upset the Lear everywhere. So he travels in half a day instead of it taking longer. He arrives, he says, this is interesting, There's a lot of him speculating. In these types of books, there's a lot of, stuff. Like, in one paragraph, the chosen, of course, were immune to such things, protected by their magics. And guides and bargemen were people who either had never formed ties properly or were able to break them and survive. He wasn't told people were bound by their own Lear to their native land, and that the people who tried to relocate only often sickened and sometimes died. But most people were all alleged to have these magical ties. How then could the Wizard Lord be gathering people from all over to build his roads and work on his other schemes without condemning them to suffer impossible death? Had he developed some magic to deal with the problem, or had it all been myth all along? There was so much to ask. So he goes in depth, like Sword is thinking a hell of a lot about a lot of stuff, about the consequences of what the Wizard Lord is doing. And that's what a lot of these pages are. And when he goes to pass, his shrine and everything and set foot on the new road, he felt not the hostility of the wilderness, but a disorientation and confusion, as if he had suddenly been turned around. He took another step, then paused. The Lear were disturbed, unquestionably. Even he could feel it. So it was a very odd sensation, because even though he was walking up straight, he felt like he was tilting. But as time went on, that recovered, and he was able to enjoy his walk. And when he made it to Willowbank, people were excited because someone came from Mad Oak. But then they're like, oh, it's a sword. He don't count. Because he thought they were testing the road. And so they're like, oh, he's just a swordsman. He don't count. And he's like, well, I'm not here. Nobody sent me. I want to go talk to, the wizard. But they welcome him anyways. And, of course, the acolyte to the priest king of Willowbank goes, I am Toru an Saloa. And then the swordsman took his hand and said, Alan Zal Tuyo, the chosen swordsman. And the priest is like, I thought people didn't use part of any of their true names. And he's like, well, we don't, but I'm not in Mad Oak. And the swordsman is part of all of Barrocan. If you tell me a part of who you truly are, it might be considered rude not to reciprocate. What's custom in one village is a crime in the next, after all. And I have no desire to displease the leer of Willowbank. So, during his previous travels, he thought that he shouldn't use it, and he didn't customize himself to the customs of the other villages he went to. But in the 7 years since then, he had thought long and hard about all of it, and he said, what's the point of upsetting the leer of other villages by not participating in what they believe is proper? So, he's like, it is proper for the people of Willowbank to give the first three of their true name, so that's what he does. He's like, I'm going to, from now on, try not to upset any of the leer anywhere I go, because I don't want to. So, he's like, no one sent me. In truth, I'm passing through on my way to Winterhome. And they're like, why are you going to Winterhome? And then they're like, surely you don't think the wizard Lord needs to be killed? He's like, no. I just want to ask him questions, I just want to ask him questions about this, And then they're like, oh, yes. They thought they were going to, start regular trade. And he's like, why not start it? He's like, I just want to ask him about his, what he's going to do with it. And he tells the king that too, the priest king asks him. And he's like, I intend to ask him a few questions about these roads he's ordered built and perhaps other projects. I don't expect anything serious or unpleasant to come from it. So he just wants to know the Wizard King's intentions for building the roads. And what other projects he had in store for the people of Barrocan. I still wish there was a map. The map would probably be easy. And so he spends the night with a serving maid, because that's what obviously the king wanted, after answering a bunch of questions for the king in private and then answering them again in public, so that way the maids and everything can scurry back and tell Willowbark the answers that he gave the king. Now, that makes me up to page 54, and that's where I'm ending. I have read more of the Ninth Talisman by Lauren Swat Evans. So we stopped off at 54 technically. Of him going to travel to Winterhome to speak with, the lovely Wizard Lord. On his stop, he was in Beggar's Hill when he was going upstairs to rest for the evening, when the dog spoke to him. And it was actually the Wizard Lord. He says, are you coming to see me? He's like, why can't I see you unless it's at night? He's like, I think it's the aura feathers. I only take it off at night. And he's like, oh. He's like, well, I'm looking forward to you. The dog is getting upset, so I'm going to let him go. See what you get here. Okay. So he's like, all right. And then as he's leaving Beggar's Hill, he looks at the eastern cliff and sees something there that he didn't see before. And it is a structure up there. Now, that structure up there is in the Uplanders' territory, on the cliff where it's outside of Barrocan. It's outside of Barrocan. So that's where it is. And he figured one of the roadwork clues talked about it and told his niece, Nicker's niece, that it was the Summer Palace. So, well, he definitely needed to, because, you know, outside of Borkin, which is not where the Wizard Lord rules, obviously. So, he gets there to Winterhome, not that Winterfold, but Winterhome, and he sees how grand and massive the palace is, and he's like, okay. So he walks up to the guards, and he's like, hello, I'm the chosen servant, I'd like to speak with the Wizard Lord if I may. And he's like, well, I don't know if he wants to see you right now. I was like, I believe he's expecting me, could you tell him I'm here? And they go, send a messenger off, and of course the messenger comes back and says, yeah, come on in. And it's like, okay, well, now you're going to have to leave your sword here, and any of the blazing weapons you might be carrying. And he's like, okay, but I haven't come here to kill him. It's like, it doesn't matter, you know, he's being precautious, which is understandable because he knows the previous Wizard Lord 7 years ago was defeated and killed by the swordsman. And of course, the sword leaves his shit behind because he knows he's more deadly without it than he is with it. Well, he's deadly without it because of the, you know, talisman he carries. So he goes in, and the first thing he recognizes is Lore, and the former leader, which is Farish. Okay. So he's like, okay, well, and the Wizard Lord was excited to see him. You may call him Artil. So Artil talks about asking what he wants to know, and he talks about the projects, about Winter Palace and how it's like, it's okay, and the roads, right? So apparently he took to heart what Sword said about how they may not need a Wizard Lord anymore because there's only like 12 wizards left. And what are they going to do? Hide in a fucking corner? Because they're not going to go rogue. They want to live, right? Even though he was chosen as a Wizard Lord, he has decided to build roads so that way people can traverse back and forth without needing a guide, and the guide can still do trading and stuff, right? Okay. He built a summer palace outside of Borkin so that way he can look over Borkin. That's what the excuse was. And he also said that he doesn't really control the weather. The weather really controls itself. He's like, people can deal with that again. And people can deal with a lot of other stuff again that don't really need him to be involved in. And he's like, it's all there. They don't need me in the way that it's needed. So he wants to step back and do nothing. But he doesn't want to become like, he says that if I become a dark wizard and you need me to be removed, I'm going to abdicate. I'm not going to let you kill me, obviously. But I don't want to abdicate because I want to stay. But I don't see what I'm doing is wrong. I want to remove magic from shit. So that way Borkin can go without it. Sword is not very happy with all of it. He's like, I want to talk to the sword without... I want to talk to the Wizard Lord without a people room. He's like... But he wants the Chosen to know everything he's doing, and he wants the Chosen to be on his side with it. Lore is already technically sort of on his side, but Lore is staying close because he can alert everybody else when and if they need to remove Artil from power. He wanted to speak to Beauty, but Beauty refused to come. Lore refused to go see Beauty because Lore wants to be with Beauty, but Beauty likes, well, Sword, even though there's an age discrepancy between them. So the Wizard Lord's like, why don't you go talk to Beauty? I want everybody to know. I'm going to approach the others too. And the new leader is a she. She calls herself boss because I mean, like, everyone does that. Become a leader. And, you know, Lore dispels some things about Sword and how Sword was off killing people. Like tales of duels and executions and so on. And it's like, are there such tales? I was like, I don't remember any, Lore. I was like, oh, so they're saying they're all lies? I was like, I don't remember any of the tales. So it would seem that the archer and the sword killing people in duels and contests are seeing people other than Dark Lord. The wizard goes, tell me honestly, how many men have you killed? 1. Sword has only killed 1. And he's like, just 1? I was like, yeah, your predecessor. Ah, no one else? No. How many people have you killed? Oh, well, fewer than your predecessor, I trust. Yes, of course, I haven't killed anyone. It's like, okay, as a chosen servant, you can probably kill your enemies with impunity. I have no. I have only one living enemy, and I deliberately chose to spare his life. So, Sword's like, yeah, no. And, no, controlling magic, my friend, not using it. So that's what the Wizard Lord says he's for. The Wizard Lord were given all the magic that could be gathered in order to achieve that goal, because what could be used to fight wizards, and it worked, and there have been no rogue wizards in centuries. And you look at that now and ask, where do we still need one? At the point we pay no attention, but when I became Wizard Lord, I thought long and hard about it. We don't need a Wizard Lord any longer to hunt down rogue wizards and stamp out boundaries. We don't need somebody controlling the weather, because the weather is there and it controls itself. And the priests and priestesses continue coax Lear to do what it needs to do. And with less than a score of wizards left in Barkan, most of them living quietly in our quarters, we don't really need it. It's a darn night. But we could use one. Other part of the title. A ruler. He wants to rule goodly over everybody. He wants to have his people organized. He wants to have roads built, canals dug, and bridges built. And, for building various towns, bridges, markets, temples. Training some of them to keep peace in a somewhat more efficient manner than the old magistrates and priesthoods. They don't just guard me, they guard everyone. And he's doing it all without magic because he wants it all to function without him. Because, eventually, so that someday, when we last few wizards are retired or dead, the whole world won't fall apart. So that's what he says he wants to do. It is an ambitious scheme. And he's like, I don't know, I need to think about it. He's like, okay, well, your compatriot has, your former leader has decided to stay here and do this. He's like, I must reserve judgment, says the sword. I must. And I will think about speaking to Beauty. And then, he's like, I want to talk to you privately, like no other people. He's like, swordsman, this is Azal Ori Tath, the captain of my guards. What do you think, Captain? I think that if he stripped down to his loincloth, and then I let him be in there. So that's what happens. So he speaks to the Wizard Lord about Farish Inith Kara, which was the leader of the chosen defenders of Barak and was a traitor, the old boss. And he tells him all about how he was the old boss and what he did, everything he did. Like how he made a deal with the old Wizard Lord to rule over Barakan with the old Wizard Lord and enslave everybody into working for them and living for them. Of course, he found out from Farish that Farish sat there and went back and made all the people in his home in Double Fall forget all of the evil deeds that he had done and remember just the good shit before he gave up his leadership role and passed it on. And then he went to Winterhome to get in with a new Wizard Lord so that way he could get what he wants, which is a place to live, a fancy place to live, women and gold, and just living a good life without doing, evil. This is what he decided. So that's what he's got. He's got it all and he doesn't need to be evil. All he needs to do is make sure the Wizard Lord doesn't do evil. And the Wizard Lord just wants to make the world run without magic. Which is a little impossible because they still need Lear to do shit. So yeah, and then he speaks to, of course, Farish. About being the traitor, and that's where he finds out about Doublefall. And about how I got everything I need. I don't really need anything else. I'm going to stay here and just live a long life, happy life, and die peacefully in my blood. And then he goes to speak to Lore. And Lore's like, I understand you lied to me. He's like, well, yes, I didn't want to tell you it. And so they speak, and he's like, he wants to know why he refused to go see and talk to the Beauty. So I said, I'll trade. And he's like, fine. I will do the trade. So he tells him about how Beauty doesn't want to go there and make, the Wizard Lord fall in love with him and all this other lovely jazz stuff that Beauty can do. And the Wizard Lord really shouldn't want Beauty there because Beauty could convince Lore to kill, the Wizard Lord if she thinks the stuff he's doing is terrible. And of course, she could do it herself too, because one of the beauties actually did, stab one of the wizard lords in the past. So he's like, that's why. And she don't find me beautiful, and I don't want to be, half ensnared. He's like, okay, well, I didn't say I was going to. And then he tells Lore what Farish did, and how Farish betrayed everybody. He's like, so, alright, I didn't say I was going to go talk to Beauty, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because he sat there and told the Wizard Lord that he's going to think about talking to Beauty. So, going to talk to Beauty by himself will hopefully make the Wizard Lord think he's not trying to gather Beauty up to, remove him as Wizard Lord. Because the Wizard Lord is very scared of being considered a dark wizard and being removed or killed. And he doesn't want that. And he doesn't want them all gathering up like that. So they have to be careful about how they talk to each other. And, of course, Sword has agreed to live I'm trying to think of the name, Winterhome at the Summer Palace, so he can observe the Wizard Lord. And that's all happens in 103 pages. And there's only 309, technically, besides the ballad. Of course, there's also pages for the Summer Palace, but we're gonna ignore that. So, yeah. That's where we are in this. So, I know I read it before, but I don't really remember. I do know there is a Ninth Talisman, obviously. I don't remember what the Ninth Talisman is for, or who has it, or why they have it. But I think the Ninth Talisman is actually the Wizard Lord's talisman, which is what binds all of the talismans together, and that if he destroys that, it destroys all of the other talismans. Don't quote me on that, I don't really remember, but I think that's what that means. And of course, there's still a sequel to it. This is called the Summer Palace. And obviously, there is something that's going to go on in the Summer Palace, right? Right. So, there's that. Good morning. Hi. How are you? So, I finished the Ninth Talisman yesterday, and I didn't update you. I've done a lot of anime watching in the last couple of days. I don't know why I've been bitching anime, besides the fact I'll be going back to work Monday, and I've had an entire week off, and I've enjoyed it. But that also means that I have not actually done much of anything else in my entirety of my days off, besides writing, reading, and not listening to Iron Flame on Audible. I got like 11 hours of that to read, which is terrible in my opinion. But anyways, I finished this. I read the rest of it. It was like halfway through when I finished it, so I just finished it. Because I just felt like it. And I just realized that this is a stopgap. This is a stopgap book. What they could have done, instead of leaving it about 320 pages, is they could have just sat there and made it a 2-book volume. Because nothing really fucking happens until the very end of the book. And those types of books are kind of boring. I was going to give this a 2.75, but I decided to give it a 3 because of the very end of the book where shit got rolling. A storm happened in Mad Oak, and Sword went to go find out what was wrong. It was the Wizard Lord blasting the Mad Oak, which gave Mad Oak its name. And there were people worried that, they'd have to change the name from Mad Oak to something else, because now they don't have the Mad Oak. And the Mad Oak was killing lots of people, and they're like, I wanted to just get rid of it. So Artella is doing like, oh, I'm killing off this evil thing here, this evil thing there. Just don't worry about it. So yeah, and That's it. So a lot of people like the Wizard Lord because he's doing a lot of what seems to be seemingly good things for the people of Arkham. Then, a little over a year later, after his return from Winterhome, and a few months less than a year since Mad Oak was burned, a new arrival came. As I'm looking for a farmer. Not a farmer. Looking for the chosen swordsman. Of course, the sword's like, I am he. Why do you seek him? And he's like, well, I have a message for him. And he's like, but I don't think you're it. So they have this little tiff fight. And he's like, okay, you're the swordsman. I believe you. So he says that the boss wants to see you. He's like, the boss said, why? He's like, no. The boss said that he wants to see you. And he finds out that that guy is the thief. They call him the Snatcher, but his real name is Taborin Dick Desram. And he only sat there and gave off like a false name to somewhere else. Because they don't want the Wizard Lord tracking. There's a reason for him. So they go back to the pavilion where the seer is. So the seer is there. The new seer and the new thief. So they think that they've been told that they need to go and see the boss. Okay, then they were going to go get Babel. And they wouldn't really necessarily tell him why. Because not even they really knew why the boss wanted them all together in Winterhome to talk. But yeah, that's what they did. So when they first traveled, before they first traveled, we learned that his mother's name is mother's name is White Rose. But they introduce themselves with fake names because they're sad about it. And they're like, well, are you going to go kill the Wizard Lord? No, I'm not. I'm just going to go see who boss wants. You know, that's it. Then he finds out that the new seer is from a place called Bone Garden, where a lot of terrible shit happens. A lot of women are called breeders, and the seer was actually called the Flat-Faced, which means they were going to eat her, and people are called Blood. So, a lot of sacrificing, a lot of nasties with the priest, and all that shit. Yeah. The thief, he's home after his parents died, because he's a thief. Yeah. He was a thief before he became a chosen, and he doesn't care about being a thief. So when they get to Winterhome, Babel's already there, because Babel said that I heard that was needed, and the seer, who never knew her true name, because the people of Bone Garden don't ever know their true name. They're given a name, and that's what they are. They're nothing more than what they were. And she was just a thief, so she never knew what her true name was. And Babel always knows true names. So when she meets, she goes, Azir Oth Lirin Paritir Jis Taban. I'm honored to meet you and to give you the start of your name. So, yeah. Azir is what she wants to be called. So, they all gather in Beauty's home to talk about the Wizard Lord. And the talk is about how the Wizard Lord is actually killing off wizards. Because the boss met one. And the boss was warned that wizards are dying. At least 4 of them that she knew. And that they didn't know if that was a good or a bad thing. They didn't know if they were evil or not. What they were all looking for was the Ninth Talisman. So when the scholar came down, they still spoke about it. They were all... It was just a big ass discussion for like a lot of pages. a lot of fucking pages, okay? And we find out that, you know, the Ninth Talisman is what they're looking for. Here's what a captain talked about. So, here's the thing. Originally, when all this started, the Chosen were just 3, right? They were just 3. They were the leader, the seer, and the swordsman. After the first Dark Lord, the Dark Lord of Midlands was defeated. The Council of Mortals had added beauty because it was hard to get close to the Wizard Lord. After the defeat of the Dark Lord of Talocrane was slain, thanks to beauty, the Thief was added because they couldn't get in to the stupid fort. And then the Scholar had been added after the Dark Lord of Kamiloth Daru. Now, the reason why he was added was research, I guess. Knowledge, truth. Because whatever the Scholar hears, if it's not true, he forgets it. The Archer, after the Dark Lord of Tamas, was added. And then the Speaker was added after the Dark Lord of Galas. 3 Dark Lords resigned peacefully. So, of course, there was going to be a 9th Talisman because of the Dark Lord of Gilbeck Hills, right? But, see, nobody was informed. If the old boss knows about it, because they're supposed to tell the leader of the Chosen. So if the old boss knows about it, he knew about the 9th Talisman, but didn't tell the new boss about the 9th Talisman. And the new boss is actually from Double Fall. Now, the new boss memorized all of Double Fall and made them do whatever they wanted. And she was part of the harem. He made everybody forget, but I don't think he knew, because he thought it was a giggle and a half, to make one of the women, weak, frail women, the new boss. And so he made the new boss the boss. But she regained all of her memories. And she's very upset with the swordsman for letting him live. But he's like, I didn't think he could hide it. I didn't think he could make people forget. But I killed one person and I had my fill of killing. And I wasn't going to kill another. So now he's thinking maybe he has to kill that one. So yeah, they have this whole thing. So they're going to use a system of small animals to carry messages when they go meet the Wizard Lord. They were going to give him a chance. They were going to give him a fucking chance and not kill him because they didn't think he had gone crazy. You know, they just want to talk and maybe have him abdicate if he wasn't going to do what he was supposed to do, you know. So, yeah. It's terrible. And there's more discussions, so much discussion. They make a plan, they get them situated, and then the Lore and the boss are going in to talk, right? Okay, so they wanted to know about a few things. About, first, the weather, because he's not controlling the weather very well. And they're like, well, all these weather patterns are happening, and they're terrible weather patterns. And he's like, but lightning storms, killing innocent, hailstorms, destroying crops, it hasn't happened yet, but it has happened in the past, and it can happen again. If they get really out of control. And then we'll talk about rogue wizards. So this is where you find out that about the Ninth Talisman from the Wizard Lord. It's called the Talisman of Trust. And if he doesn't keep it on him at all times when he's in Barrocan, it will make him deathly ill. And because it's linked to another talisman, and that link is blocking him from using the tiny portion of powerful magic that's inside the Talisman of Trust. And he's like, the leader of the chosen doesn't, like, I don't know. And he's like, I am a wizard and I can't understand it. I have all of this, but we don't need it. It's like, council, he's not going to try. So I've been killing them. Now, he said 4 wizards escaped my men, 2 are unaccounted for, and 11 are dead. Because there's 18 wizards in all. I was wrong the whole time. I was saying like 12, but there's 18. Well, no, there's not. There's 7. There's 7 wizards left in the world. 7 fucking wizards left in the world. And he's like, I've also deemed that since we don't need wizards, we don't need magic. So we don't need the chosen, because the chosen are wizards. So I'm going to keep you, boss, and you, scholar, locked up in my little dungeon down here in Winterhome, and I'm going to kill the rest. So, yeah. That's terrible. Sword goes after Azuru, and the boss warns that they're immune to your magic, and they're also immune to Chosen's magic. So, Sword rushes off. A Snatcher rushes off too. And Arrow, of course, has been warned. Bow. The thing is that the guards now have earplugs in them, so they can't hear nothing about the Chosen, nothing, and they have the orders. And the orders are to kill the Chosen. Because they're rogue people that need to be just dead. Because, they don't need to control the world. And we don't control the world, we keep the Wizard Lord and Lord line. And so, it's chaos. It's utter chaos. And when he gets back towards where Beauty's home is, unfortunately, Beauty's home is up in blaze. And then when he goes out to look for him, he finds Beauty and the seer. They're dead. Chopped to fucking pieces, dead. And so as he's running away, Sword kills. Oh no, Babel in the seer. I think Beauty's also dead. Because Beauty's home is up in blaze. Yeah. Yeah. So, the seer and Babel are dead. And Sword's running for his life. He's cutting people down left and right and just killing people. The last instruction was sword, bow, anyone. If you get a chance, kill him. So he's just running away left and right, killing people, pursuers. But this is the thing. So without the seer, he can no longer track any of the chosen. Without Babel, he can no longer know anybody's true names. And nor can he sit there and talk to animals, make animals talk, force them to talk, to find them. That's 2 of the seeking ways, the only 2 seeking ways, gone. So there's only a few talismans left. And those are just it. And Zora like, well, now I have to kill the Wizard Lord, and I probably have to kill Flourish as well. Great. So he drifts, and he accidentally drifts. So Azir the Seer is dead. Babel, a scholar of all tongues, dead. Lore and Boss are captured, right? Bo the Archer had still been alive and free last he saw, but he didn't think Beauty had been caught. Snatcher the Thief, whipping him in the sword, had no idea. So, yeah. Had no means of following. So, because the Talisman of Warding
was gone. And so is another talisman. He tells me. He tells you. But it doesn't really matter what he has and what he doesn't have, because now he can't do it. Right? He made himself weaker. And by killing him off one by one, he's making himself weaker. To where the only thing he'll have left is his own magic. So he didn't know. He doesn't know who's alive and who's really dead. He just doesn't really know. So he just walks. And he just walks. And he walks. And then someone said, "Didn't you see the shrine?" And he's like, "What do you?" And she's like, "Don't speak. Let us in. Let us." And he goes, "Oh, leader of this place, forgive me, because I might not his friends." So morning calm he went into, and he didn't realize that he wasn't supposed to walk into. But it's a place of peace. He left behind his sword in the forest and just left. Walked into this morning calm. And he has to spend the night. So he does. In the morning, he's woken up because there are people. He says, "We must leave. We don't allow violence here." He's like, "Why?" "Well, there's a man here. He's more than one, really. And they have a sword picture of you, and they're saying that you need to be taken to Wizard Lord." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, you did kill the same man and killed dozens of soldiers." He's like, "I killed soldiers who had just slaughtered 2 unarmed and defenseless friends of mine, the 2 of the Chosen. Yes. But I swore I would not strike a hostile blow in morning calm, and I hope to keep that oath. Besides, I have no sword with me." And they're like, "Well, you have to leave." He's like, "Of course." She's like, "Is there another way out of here?" He's like, "What happens to those who break their oath?" Then they say if they don't repent, the earth devours them. Right? Okay? So he's like, "Let's see what happens." And he's like, "Good morning. I understand you have..." He's like, "Good morning. I am the world's greatest swordsman." He goes, "One of the Chosen. Is mighty to depose the Wizard Lord if he turns to evil. Recently, all 8 of the Chosen gathered in Winterhome to discuss the Wizard Lord's actions of the last 2 years. The Wizard Lord had killed several wizards, allowed the weather to go uncontrolled, and otherwise interfered with Barocan traditions. We had not yet reached any decision when the Wizard Lord, fearing for his life, sent his men to attack us, taking the leader and the scholar prisoner, butchering the seer and the speaker in the street. The rest of us scattered and fled. And I found my way here, and I am grateful that the leader guided my steps. For morning calm has been kind to me, and your laws have kept my pursuers from dragging me from my bed by force. Thank you, all of you. And my thanks to the leader, morning calm." He's like, "I don't want to bring violence to your home. I wish no ill will. I'm going to speak to the Wizard Lord's men, and I hope I'll be able to reach a peaceful understanding. I do not want any of you to get caught up in our dispute, but I want to ask one more kindness. Do not block the path if I find it necessary to flee." So he's like, "Nah, I'm not surrendering to his pursuers." "Well, I'm not gonna do that." He's like, I'm not gonna give it to you, give you my life. I'm not gonna do it. He's like, "Well, we could bring you dead or alive." Well, he's like, "I'm sure that going with you would not be pleasant for me." And they're like, "Well, you should have thought that before you killed people." He said, "They should have known better than to kill 2 of the Chosen. The Chosen, a band of murderers of lesser wizards used to keep the Wizard Lord from accomplishing anything?" It's like, "I have never before heard us described that way, but I can see how you might think that." And I'm like, "What else are you? Protectors of Bargain? Bah! What are you protecting anyone from? Roads and jobs and trade? Have you ever heard of a place called Stone Soap? I've heard of it. I've seen it. Oh, I don't believe you. I think you're a fool to tell me that. If you had cajoled me, apologize to me, told me you were sure it was my surrendering, but no, you tell me to my face you consider me a murderous monster. Did you think I would be shamed into surrendering when you told me my crimes? I think we're 6-1. No, you have no weapon." And so they begin marching into morning calm. The laws of morning calm forbade violence. And so he simply ran. And they were being swallowed up. And he's like, "Well, could you help them out after I leave? I'm going to go retrieve my sword and leave." And so that's what he does. He gets his sword and he starts leaving. So he decided he was going to go to the uplands, where he would be safe from magic, from the Wizard Lord's control over Barocan. Right? No one would expect him to attempt. No one sane would go up there to escape the Wizard Lord and then slipping back into Winterhome, somehow getting through the gate hidden in one of the palace, make his way up the long, winding path undetected. It meant surviving alone in that vast open country up there through the cold and wind and snow and storms that the uplanders did not dare to face. It meant giving up the magic that made him the world's greatest swordsman, the magic that bound him to Borgen, and living with his soul cut off from the spirits that made him whole. No one sane would try it, but he didn't feel very sane. No one expected him to attempt it. It was the last place anyone would look, and that meant that when the Lizard Lord returned to the Summer Palace next year, he would not expect to find his enemy waiting in ambush for him. And an enemy with no magic, true, but an enemy who had 8 years of daily practice with a blade. So he had no idea how he would survive the upland winter, no idea how he would kill the Wizard Lord without his magic to help him. No idea what would he eat or drink up there, but he knew, even as he pretended to debate with himself, that he had already decided he would find a way, or he would die trying. So that's what he's going to do. And that's the end. That was literally it. That last bit of excitement of him fleeing from Winterhome to Morningcom, and then the little tip-top of Morningcom was all the fucking excitement of the actual book. Of all the action of the actual book. They could have just sit there and put Summer Palace in here and made it one whole book. This is just like a stopgap, and I forgot it was a stopgap. And that's just like, this is not a fast-paced thing. This is slow. It's 7 years later that he finds out about these roads, and he goes to visit the Wizard Lord. Finds nothing wrong with the Wizard Lord, goes home. Mad Oak is destroyed a few months later. And then, not even a few months after that, he's called to Winterhome again to talk to the boss. The very end's the fast-paced part. Nothing else is fast. It's slow as fucking can be. So, I was going to give it a 2.75, but I'm rating it a 3. Only because of the action at the end, which was the really interesting part of it all. And I know it's a lead up into the third book. Third book's not even really that big. So, yeah. It's just a little disappointing about this one. Like, the Wizard of the first one was really a fast-paced fantasy. This one's a slow pace. I'm hoping the Summer Palace is back up to its fast pace, but I don't know. We'll see. I didn't read it all, but I didn't remember a lot of shit. I remember the bare bone basics of the fantasy world. That was it. So I guess my favorite character would be Sword. You don't spend enough time with the rest of them to actually formulate any kind of attachment to the others. You really don't. A lot of time with Lore, and Lore is just on the Wizard's Lord's side until the very end, and then he changes because he realizes he plans to kill you, Lore. This whole time. He never planned to advocate. He never planned to do anything else. He planned to kill you. That's what he planned to do. Yeah, Lore. Plans to fucking kill you. So, yeah. And the beauty you meet very briefly, and then she's back, and she's not in for very long. We don't know where the hell she went. Snatcher, you meet halfway through the book, and the only thing you really learn about the Snatcher is the Snatcher was a thief that enjoyed thieving. But only from those who were richer than the poor. Never went after anyone who didn't have anything, or barely had anything. And then you learn about the Seer, and the Seer is just a scared little girl. Babel, of course, you knew from the previous book, but Babel in this one just shows up and goes, I knew I was needed. But you don't know shit. Because the Wizard Lord has gone up to the Summer Palace to conceal all of the stuff he's doing, so they wouldn't know. My most disliked character is, of course, Artil, the Wizard Lord, because he plans to kill my good man Sword, who's just trying to do his job of being a good guy. But, of course, Wizard Lord has brainwashed all of the soldiers in his power, all of the people in his way. They all think he's a great guy. Besides the fact a few things here and there, but there's more bandits. Because Wizard Lord's not around to get rid of them. So what stood out as memorable? The Sword's gut instinct that the Wizard Lord was not really a good guy from the very beginning, though he couldn't put a pin on it, was still there. He just had this feeling that the Wizard Lord was not helping in a way that was good for everyone. That includes the wizards and, of course, the Chosen. I don't think I have a favorite passage from this, because it's just, I don't know. Maybe her badassery. Because, like, there's not a lot of stuff I highlighted that meant much to me. Besides for plot points, you know? I don't really have a favorite passage. Besides this, which is, the wind seemed to snatch the shaft from the bow. It sailed high and far and vanished into the air. And then she heard a Bruce scream, and the wind abruptly died away as the wizard's lifeless form plummeted from the sky into Old Brewery's barley field, landing with a hideous thump. So, that was from when he went in and saw Tala kill a rogue wizard before the Wizard Lords even existed. Which proved that, you know, they could fight against Wizard Lords long before Wizard Lords existed. So I guess that's like my favorite thing. Which proves his point, Sword's point of there no longer need to be a freaking Wizard Lord. Now, on to my favorite quote. Favorite quote. I'm gonna go with this. Like, I want to be the last Wizard Lord Barrow will ever see. Which, the way he says it in such a good way that it's like, hey, I'm trying to do this great favor for Barrow-kun, you know? But at the same time, he doesn't necessarily tell all of his plans of saying, I want you guys to be the last chosen. As long as you guys, you know, give up your talismans, I won't kill you. I want to stop controlling the weather. I want to stop controlling bandits. I want all of the wizards dead, except for me, you know, because I'm like the aggressivest thing in the fucking world. Right? But he's not talking about killing himself afterward. He wants to rule through politics and government, as well as being the only one that has magic. And he's like, eventually we want to get rid of all of the bad leer and, you know, control it without priests and priestesses and, you know, things like that. That's what he wants to do. He wants to control the land without all the magic. The end of the book. Well, the ending of the book was fantabulous. I mean, he's on the run. Okay. And 2 of the 9 chosen now, because there's a 9th talisman, are dead. We don't know who the 9th talisman person is. And, Boss and Lure are captured. Poor them. So now it's a whole thing of whether or not Beauty, Snatcher, and Bow are alive and well, as well as what Sword's gonna do. Maybe Bow's gonna try and attempt to kill the Wizard Lord 100 million times before Sword gets there. And who is the 9th talisman? Who holds it? I think if I'm remembering right, I know who holds the 9th talisman. But I don't know if I'm remembering right. Regardless of if I'm remembering right or not, I like the ending of the book more than I like the beginning, middle of the book. Because I understand the beginning. If you're getting into the story, you gotta set it back all up, right? You got a lot of world building done, now you're gonna roll barrel some more. And you're going to set up for the, you know, the plot and everything. But the middle of the book is like where all the heavy shit's supposed to get down, plot's supposed to start being revealed, shit's supposed to be starting to hit the fan. None of that shit actually really happens. Because nothing bad really happens. It's the ending of the book where all the shit happens. Like, you get all the plot revealed, you get all of the shit hitting the fan revealed, and then you get all of the run for my life shit. And you don't even really get a conclusion to that because it's a cliffhanger. What book did it remind me of? I don't really think there's a lot of stopgap books out there, because most books have an actual plot within a plot. Because this is an overarching plot right here, the Ninth Talisman, because it goes into the Summer Palace. So that's like shares the same plot, which is the Ninth Talisman and the Wizard Lord Artil trying to kill off all of the Chosen and all of the wizards and control Barokan through no magic, right? So that's the overarching plot between the Ninth Talisman and the Summer Palace. But there's no real fucking plot in the Ninth Talisman besides setting up for the Summer Palace. So this is like a setup book, and I don't really think I've read many setup books, because usually there is plot within the books. And this just doesn't have a plot within the book. It doesn't. So it's just kind of hard to think of a book that doesn't have a plot, but a setup. Yeah, I can't really think. This book, as you know, is part of a series called The Annuals of the Chosen, and is book 2. There are 3, so I will be going into the last one in the new year. Sometime, hopefully, maybe. We'll see if it ever gets drawn. And we'll finish it. So, there we go. I've already given you my rating for this. I'm not going to give it to you again. So, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. I'll see you next illusion.